What's up, YouTube? This is Matt with That Jeep Adventure, and today I have a really cool, fun little project. It's kind of a novelty, but it's been something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I've just never pulled the trigger on it. But anyway, a lot of people are gonna make fun of this. Some of my friends are gonna make fun of this, but on that 1% of the time that you actually use it and it actually makes a difference and it's the thing that actually gets you over the obstacle, it will be sweet victory to be able to laugh at all the naysayers. So, a front suck down winch is what we're talking about today. The idea is you use an ATV winch, 3,500 pound-ish winch, and you connect it to the frame, and then you put the winch line down to the front axle, and this allows you to compress the front suspension. So whenever the Jeep is standing up vertical and you got, the front tires kind of up over a ledge and they're spinning, they won't really grab. Well, sometimes they're not grabbing because the Jeep is so vertical that there's no real weight on those front tires. The suspension's starting to unload. So the idea here is that you can use the suck down winch to compress the suspension, which in turn puts more weight on the front tires and helps it pull the Jeep over the obstacle. All right, awesome. So the first impression here, the winch looks pretty beefy. I mean, this is the 3,500 pound OpenRoad. It's got a synthetic cable on it, which is nice. Saves some weight, a little safer to use. It comes with a winch plate, which will be handy because we will probably be modifying this to bolt to the frame rail where we're gonna mount it. So we'll probably end up reusing this. All the wiring you need. Looks like it's got a couple wireless remotes, which is handy. Oh, it's even got a wired remote, so I can just wire this straight to the dash. Then we don't even have to worry with these. So this is awesome. This is going to work great. Has a little fair lead here. So this is definitely everything that we need to get the project started. Now we've just got to figure out how to make it fit, what we're going to use for a pulley wheel on top of the axle, and just kind of see how it all comes together. It's going to be a tight fit, but if we can make it work, this thing is going to be awesome. Now that we've got the winch out of the box, I took the tires off, took the springs out, so I can put the suspension all the way up to full stuff to make sure that, when the suspension is all the way up, that it's not going to hit the winch anywhere. That would pretty much destroy the winch, and we don't want that to happen. So finding where to put this, as I said, is going to be the hard part. So let's get up under here and I'll show you kind of in my mind the spot that this is going to sit, and then we'll see if it actually works. It's definitely going to take some fab work. It's not going to be just out of the box on this thing. I'm probably going to modify the winch plate that came with it to make it fit. So let's check it out. You'll see some people mounting the winch here. There's a couple write-ups on some different forums. They'll mount the winch right there on top of the spring bucket. That's not where I'm going to put it, and you can see why. It's going to hit the sway bar. So I saw one guy had said that the anti-rock on his actually destroyed the winch, so that's not going to work. We are going to mount it to the inside of the frame rail here. All right, so the plan is the winch is going to sit here. So the winch sit here, and then it's going to spool out, and we're going to weld a pulley on top of the truss here. And then we're going to go to this side of the frame with a hook. So our winch cable will do this number from the frame rail down to the axle up to the frame here. So when we pull in on the winch cable, it'll tighten the rope and it will compress our front end. I went on Amazon and found the smallest snatch block that I could that was still rated for enough. This is actually rated for 8,000 pounds, but the actual wheel on the snatch block itself was the smallest diameter wheel that I could find. So after I got the pulley wheel out of the snatch block, I made some quick brackets and set it on top of the axle and got it tacked into place. The next thing I did was use cardboard to mock up the winch bracket. Once the frame side winch bracket was done, All I had left was to make the hook for the opposite side. So I made a trip over to Rob's yesterday. He burned in all of the pieces for the suck down winch and also helped me modify some stuff in the front that I need to get the hydro assist added. But we're gonna get the suck down winch finished up today, so I wanted to show you where we're at and show you what we gotta do to finish it up. All right, so we got our bracket there burned in. We added this to the frame right here. So this is where the winch is gonna mount, and then it's gonna go down to that pulley, down there on the axle, and then there is a hook over there on the other side of the frame. So let's get the winch bolted up first, and it is super close to hitting the engine and everything right here, but it fits, so I don't know, let's send it. So one thing I didn't think about here is that whenever the spring is in, that is the bolt that holds the winch, one of the bolts that holds the winch to the frame. So I pretty much had to decompress the suspension here and just like feed it through there, but ideally put the bolt in before you put the spring back on. All right, so let's talk about the winch line here. The original plan was to use the hook on the end that came with it, but it was getting sandwiched between the hook up there on the frame and the upper control arm. It was actually binding because the hook was hanging down. Also, this was gonna clank around on the trail, hitting up against the frame, making noise, and probably kind of be annoying. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna cut the hook off the cable, and we're just gonna tie it around the hook up there on the frame. Once it's there, it's not like we're ever gonna have to take it off. So I think that ought to do it. That keeps everything from binding, and it'll all be soft, so no chance of making noise. So let's do it. All right, so up under my engine here is filthy, and I've got all these wires, but I have been making a bunch of changes, so I'm actually about to cut all these sharp zip ties off that cut everybody and try to rearrange, loom all this. Everything's kind of like in the general idea. I just need to get some of that looming and wrap it all. So that's probably what I'm about to do next. But you can see I mounted the winch controller here. These are the wires that go to the yellow and blue on the winch. I had to add some length to those. But you can see the wiring runs down to the winch there. So the winch is mounted. This will give you a pretty good idea of how it all looks now. So there's the winch, and it is super tight up against the motor back there, but it does clear. We've got about a ½ inch everywhere at least, maybe a little more. So cable goes, or the rope goes down to this pulley on the axle. All right, so here we go. It is the moment of truth. I have the wireless remote. I also have the other remote wired in up towards the dash. All right, so there we go. A successful suck down winch on the TJ. It was a lot of work, and it doesn't really look like it's got a ton of travel to it right now. But you know, on a hill, when the front springs are kind of decompressed, they're a lot longer. So the range of travel that the winch will have to pull down will be a lot greater, and it'll have a longer range and more room to help you out, more spring to compress, I guess, if that makes sense. So anyway, this was a really cool project. The OpenRoad winch worked out perfect. I mean, it had the wired remote, it has the wireless remotes, but the wired one is in there on the dash. I'll put a clip in there here in a second. And it works, everything. I mean, it's pretty simple. It took a lot of work, and really, I'm just anxious to try it on the trail and see how it goes. But for right now, it looks like everything clears, everything works. So I am super pumped to get out there and try it. So if you're trying to do it, it's definitely doable. With the 4-cylinder, it's doable. It is so tight against the motor that with the 6-cylinder, I'm not sure that you can mount it in the same spot. So, but anyway, for a 4-cylinder TJ, this is a really clean way to do the suck down. I mean, you can't see it. Sometimes people mount it over the spring, so it puts the whole winch in the wheel well, and I don't really like that look, and you run into clearance issues. So anyway, this is a really clean, easy-ish way to do it. So anyway, good luck. Thanks for watching.